In front of me right now, South London, born and raised, 24-year-old record breaker we've got in the building right now.
What an introduction.
#1 singer-songwriter. Don't worry, I'm still going. Double Grammy Award nominated. One of the faces of R&B worldwide right now. LMA, let's make some noise for LMA.
That was an amazing introduction.
It's a good one,
Thank
right?
you.
2019, I got to kick it off proper. How are you though? What's happening?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I was saying the last time you came was just after the BET Awards performance.
Yes.
So much has happened in this time space.
So much has happened. It feels like it was so long ago, even though it wasn't that long ago. It was like, what, 6 months ago?
Yeah, maybe. Something like that.
Yeah. It's been insane, to say the least. Honestly, it's been such a great year for me, 2018, and I'm excited for 2019.
We're excited for you as well, to be honest. And what's mad, when I was looking back, Boo'd Up hadn't even gone to #1 at that point. Like, it was still building at that point. But you're at the BET Awards performing. Like, what's changed for you since then?
Everything. No, I think in terms of like just being recognized and stuff, I think a lot has changed. But in like my everyday life, I think it's still the same. Like, I'm still with the same people, my friends, my family. But yeah, I think just getting more recognition and more people knowing my name, and knowing me for more than just being the Boo'd Up girl, which was really important to me. I didn't want to just be the girl who sings Boo'd Up or the Boo'd Up girl. Like, I know around that time would be, if I would get recognized, people would be like, oh, you're the girl who sings Boo'd Up. Now it's like, oh yeah, LMA. So that was like super important for me to try and, you know, not walk away from Boo'd Up, because I never will always be there, but to have other records that people know and can say, okay, this is the artist rather than she's just the song. So.
How did you manage to do that? What do you think? How did that come about?
I think Trip played a big part in that, of course, because I think after the success of Boo'd Up, everyone was like waiting to see what I was going to do. It's like, is she a one-hit wonder or can she do it again? And it was a lot of pressure because Boo'd Up was so big, and it's like, if that's the first song that people know you for, the second one you come with, if it doesn't do as well, then it's like, do people pay attention or not? And luckily, everyone loved Trip just as much. So I think Trip definitely kind of put the nail in the wood. I don't want to say coffin, but in the wood, to really solidify, like, okay, cool, she knows how to make music, type of thing. And then obviously I dropped my album in October, and even more people were listening. So yeah, I think it's just kind of what I did after Boo'd Up, really, that people were watching. Yeah, we're going to talk about the album. We're going to talk about Trip as well. Yes. How does it feel though, being nominated for Grammys? Like, listen, I try and like put it into words every day, but it's an incredible feeling. I think this is, as a little girl, all I ever wanted was like, I want to go to the Grammys. I want a Grammy. So to be double nominated as well, and for Song of the Year especially, for Best R&B Song, we were like anticipating that. We were like, if we're gonna get a nomination, that's what it's gonna be for sure. But Song of the Year completely blew me out of the water, because that's like one of the big 4 categories, and I wasn't expecting it at all. So yeah, it's incredible. I'm so excited. You got to bring it home. It's coming home. You got to bring I'm trying, man. I'm trying. We're behind you, full stop. I remember the last time you came, we did a little bit of an in-depth and like your journey so far. So I won't make you go all the way back again. But if we can sum it up, we've gone from Instagram videos about 4 years ago, signing to Mustard. What's happening? In fact, when I say these things, talk to me about where you are at in these signs. So Instagram videos 4 years ago. I was in uni working in retail, and I was 21 or 20, about to be 21, and just figuring it out. Literally didn't have management, didn't have any of that, just figuring it out. Doing your thing. All right, signing to Mustard. Signing to Mustard, I was 21, and I was back and forth to LA at that point. So I still lived in London, but I was back and forth to LA, and we'd recorded a whole bunch of songs, which ended up then being my EPs, Time Change and Ready. And that was my next one, Time Change and Ready. Okay. So that, Time Change and Ready I made on the journeys that I did back and forth to LA before I even signed to Mustard. So I could have just been like a demo artist. He could have given those songs to someone else. We had no contract, nothing. I was just in the studio with him, and then I signed to him, and then we put out Time Change and Ready. So. And then something that was quite important as well was the Kalani tour. Yes. Because you went a lot of places on that one. Yes. How did you feel at that time? Would you like,
unsure, you didn't know where it's going, or did you see where the career was going?
I mean, I think that was a super important part of my journey, and I'm super grateful to Kehlani for allowing me to come on the road, because I know, especially when she asked me, I was like, there are not a lot of girls that would bring another girl on the road that, you know, because Kehlani makes R&B music. And I'm a super fangirl of Kehlani, so I was so excited when she asked me. But I went on basically every tour date that she did in America and in Europe.
The list was long, man.
We were on tour for 5 months.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, and that was like my first tour. I kind of just got thrown into it. I did 2 shows before I went on that tour, like as a soloist. So it was like thrown in the deep end and just kind of had to do it. But I think I always saw it. I never knew when it was going to happen. But I always knew in you know, like in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, there was no other option.
I always think about that because there's so much room for doubt until it does happen. How do you keep going through that?
I think it's who you have around you, especially. Like the people that you have around you are very important, and the support group that you have. I'm lucky enough to have an extremely supportive family. My mum, my grandma, like always told me go for it. My brother, and extremely supportive friends. My friends will be everywhere if they can, like shows, anything. So and then obviously my team. But I didn't always have this team. So like you said, in those moments where you are kind of still figuring it out and you don't have that team, you kind of a lot of it is, you know, trusting yourself and believing in yourself, but definitely the people that you have around you.
It's made a big difference. That's cool. And like, you're from the UK, you're out in LA, you're on tour. Yeah. How do you live normal life in that? Like, you're just here, there, everywhere.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, I recently got a puppy, and he's like my sense of, he's not on tour with me right now.
No.
He will be when I tour the US.
Yeah.
Even though my manager's like, leave him at home.
Has your puppy got a babysitter?
Yeah. No, he's with me most of the time. As much as they'll claim that he's not, he is with me most of the time. But for when, like now that I'm away, he goes to like a little doggy camp.
Oh, yeah. Like summer school and
that. Yeah, they do like obedience training and stuff. So he's like my calm in all of in all of the madness. So
that's cool, man. Well, in the middle of like all the hype, Boo'd Up's come out, everyone's talking about you, you're here, there, everywhere. You've got to go and write an album. How was that process for you?
I actually started the album before the success of Boo'd Up.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think helped a lot, and that's why I believe that everything happens for a reason, because I started the album when I got off tour with Kehlani, which was in the summer of 2017, and Boo'd Up was already out, but Boo'd Up didn't start taking off until about April of 2018. So I was already, 6 months into the album process. So when Boo'd Up started to pop off, I wasn't finished yet. I hadn't finished the album, but I was at least halfway through. So I feel like it kind of took the pressure off of me a little bit, because I didn't have to just rush and be like, right, Boo'd Up is so successful, we have to come with something. And I think I was lucky in that sense, because if I hadn't started working on the album and Boo'd Up was doing what it did, and I felt like I had I don't think I would have been able to put out a body of work that I really, really like believed in and took my time with, and I would have felt like I just kind of had to give because of Boo'd Up. So yeah, I was already very, very deep into the album process, and I finished it as Boo'd Up. I finished it, I think, right before the summertime, maybe in like July.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was pretty much done almost. I mean, I had a whole bunch of songs. It was more so about narrowing down what I thought would make the final track list. But there was a lot of pressure, definitely. I
can imagine, like, all this weight on your shoulders, like, this is the whole world, you know.
I know. And I think because everything happened so fast, in those moments I didn't actually realize how much pressure it was, which also helped, because if I really sat down and realized how much pressure it was, I maybe would have second guessed a lot of stuff. But I kind of just had to keep going keep going. What songs did you write after? Was Trip done before? Trip was one of the last songs we recorded. Okay. Yeah, I wrote it with an English writer, actually. His name is Varian Wade. He lives in LA as well. But I brought him in for like the last couple sessions I was doing on the album, because he's one of my favorite writers to work with. And I was like, listen, we got like, I think I had like a the track list I wanted, but there were gaps.
Okay.
So I was like, we got these gaps and let's see if we can fill them. I wasn't like trying to make sure like, all right, this needs to be like this needs to be about this, but I was just seeing what we can do, and we filled them. Yeah. And Trip was one of the last ones that we recorded, and the moment Mustard heard it, he's like, this is the next single. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you very, very sure? He said, I'm telling you, everyone I play it for, I'm telling you. And he's never steered me wrong, clearly. Okay. So, yeah.
That's good. So under his guidance, you're going in the right path. It's good hands to be in, though, isn't it?
Of course. I trust him wholeheartedly.
You worked with some other people from the UK as well. Nana Rogues produced the first one.
Yes.
Are these relationships you had before or along the way?
Along the way, yeah. So I came in September of 2017, actually. So when I first started writing my album, I came home for a week, and because I always said to myself, I was like, I want to make sure I at least work with some people from England, because I don't feel like it will be a true representation of myself if I don't. So I came home, and we got I was in the studio with Nana Rogues and Jay Warner. I wrote it with Jay Warner. So we just sat there, and I had another session with Jay Warner, actually. This was my second session with Jay Warner, and I really got along with him and worked really well with him. So I was like, come back. So yeah, we sat there and we didn't finish Good Bad. We wrote, I think, like half of it. And then we had to, like, the session was over, so I was like, all right, I'll take it back to LA and work on it. So I took it back to LA and I finished it, and we kept playing it. And the thing is with repetition, sometimes you're like, am I hearing this too much? Do I still... You have to make sure, like, if you make a song and you come back the next day and you still like it, you're like, okay, because you hear something so much in the studio that your ears can kind of get numb to what it is that night. You have to come back to it. And Good Bad was always that one that all of us came back to, like, no, this has to be there. So I was really excited to start the album off with that as well, also because it's an English producer and an English writer. So yeah.
That's what I was looking at. I was like, that's cool. Nana Rogues is one of the things as well.
Yeah, and you know he's so talented.
Yeah, very much so. Very much. Big up Nana Rogues. Yeah. With Good Bad, that's the only thing that makes it tricky for me to get into the album. Just reloading it and repeating it.
Because you want to keep playing.
Yeah, you want to keep playing it. Normally with an album, like, you warm yourself in, and then when you're in, you hear a track like, reload it. Good Bad every single time.
Yeah, like, I had to start. I had to come correct on the first track. Like, all right, you have to make people want to carry on, And I think music is so accessible these days with Apple Music and Spotify and all these streaming services that you don't actually have to go out and buy the CD. You're just on your phone. So if you listen to one or two tracks and you're not really feeling it, you'll turn it off and go about your day. Else, so you kind of have to get the attention people from the start. It
was good seeing it live as well. I think seeing music live and seeing how different people react to different parts of the song, it makes you realize, that is that,
Yeah, live is it's always interesting to see, like what you just said, how people react to certain songs or certain parts of a song, and it makes it that much more fun, I think, for an artist, because the stuff that I might necessarily think like, this is gonna go off, but then something random completely, like a song or a part of a song that I didn't know anyone really like was paying attention to that they did, and you're like, and that gives you gives you the, like, you get hyped. So
it's true. Talking about tracks though, I got to talk to you about this one. You and Chris Brown, you've worked together before. What do you call it? I cannot condone this behavior. Can you explain from your point of view what you're getting across here, please?
I don't condone cheating either. Don't get it twisted. I don't. It was more so, it was like a fun track, and I think that's why I put the Lost, the little interludes that I have with me speaking before it, because I think it's more so it's just generally about lust. It doesn't necessarily mean cheating on someone, or you can be lustful for someone and you can be single, like you can be lusting for someone, and be single. So I think it was more so about that. Obviously the words are, it ain't cheating, but it was, I always say to people, don't look into it too deep. It was like a fun song that I recorded the very first time I went to LA before I was signed to Mustard. And we always knew that we wanted Chris Brown on it, but it was so early at that point. I was like, I'm keeping this song until I was like, one day, I don't know how long it's gonna take, but one day, and it happened. And we actually recorded like September of 2017, like when I went in the studio with Chris, before we recorded This Christmas for his album. Whatchamacallit was done. So but I just knew I wanted it on my album because he's such like a big inspiration to me. So
100%. And I saw like couples in the crowd and stuff, they're all singing it to each other, so I think, it's cool.
Do you know what? Whatchamacallit, I'm always like, I didn't know that it would. I knew, you know, like I love the song, but I didn't know I would get that reaction from the crowd because of the topic.
Yeah.
I'm like, it might be a little bit shaky. People might be like, "What are you talking about?" But every show I've done, it's completely gone off. So
yeah, the show this week was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Honestly, the different vibes, like we haven't had one like that in a while.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you so much.
How was it for you, like coming home? This is your first debut album tour. What was that like for you coming home and doing it?
So special. Like, London crowds are tough, so I was like, I have to prepare myself just in case, because London is a tough crowd, and I think it's just because we're a major city and there's shows every other day, so you're just like used to seeing people. But I was like, nah, this is the first time this is my first show at home since the success of Boot Up, like my own headlining show. And the last headlining show I did here was at O2 Islington, so it was like 850 people. So to come back and do
this one,
triple the size, and to do it twice as well, so like 6 times the size basically of what I was doing before, in the space of a year, is incredible. Like, and it just shows how much one song can really change everything. But it was so special, and they sung every word. It wasn't even just like, oh, Boot Up and Trip, and of course those went off because they're the 2 singles, but every word to every song on the album. And you know, I got to bring my mum on stage.
I was gonna say, you wanted to make grown men cry in the audience.
Do you know what? I feel like I don't tell her enough. And I felt like that would be the best way to kind of say thank you. I wanted her to see the crowd from the way I see it, because obviously being in the audience and you're watching me and you see the crowd, you can look around, but being on stage, it's like a different feeling. So I wanted her to see that, and I wanted her to know, like, you know, this all happened because of the belief that you had in me to, you know, instill it in myself. So I wanted her to see that, and I was like, I'm not gonna cry. And I turned, and I knew I shouldn't have turned because she was crying, and then it was all over. So I started crying. But yeah, it was really, really special. I had all of my family, my friends, and just to come home and receive that that energy was really insane.
It's funny, on my Instagram, because I was putting on my Instagram, you could just hear people saying, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. It was a sweet moment.
Yeah, it was. And she didn't know. It
really?
was a surprise, yeah.
She was actually sat where I was stood.
Oh yeah.
And she was literally filming the whole thing. Yeah. Even from Jack James, she was filming. She's
such a fangirl. She's like, you would never know she was my mum. Like, she'll never be in the room like, oh, that's my daughter, but she'll be there like filming every moment and just so proud. And yeah, she didn't know it was a surprise. So I asked my manager, I'm like, can you bring her down?
No way.
And I'm gonna surprise her because and I said it on stage, when I first got the final mix of Easy, she was in LA with me. She came to visit me, and we listened to it together in the car, and she always told me that that's her favorite song on the album.
Oh, nice.
So that's why I wanted to bring her out for it. So yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Well, I mentioned Jack James, you had him supporting you, right?
Yes.
Great voice.
Insane. One of my favorite voices.
So sick. When did that relationship start? And like, who else are you checking for in the UK?
Jack James, I only met him now.
Whoa.
being on tour with me. I just met him, but I've known about him for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, and how did I find out about him? So I think someone told me about his Colours. He did
the
Colours. Yeah, he did Extroverted Lover on Colours, and ever since then I've just been like tapped in everything he releases. I'm such a huge fan. So when I found out I was going on tour, and I actually wanted to have English openers with me in the US because I want, like, I feel like I have a platform at the moment to try and help R&B, especially English R&B. So I wanted them to come with me in the US as well, but we couldn't work it out. So I was like, well, at least come with me in Europe, and we worked out, and I hit him. I was like, come on tour with me. Like, I was like, and he was like, let's do it. So obviously we got whoever involved that needed to be involved, and
he's doing all of Europe as well.
He's doing all of Europe with me, yeah. And he's he's 20 years old, he's from London, and he's so confident. Like, you would think that he's done this all before, and I feel like his voice is so soulful. It sounds like he's from a past life. So I watched this set last night, was the first time, because he told me, he's like, watch me in London, because I was going to watch him in Manchester, and he's like, no, watch me in London, just watch me in London. So, but I can hear him every night, and he kills it every night, and the crowd go crazy. So yeah, I'm a big fan.
That's wicked, man. Let's clear one thing up, right? One moment from the show yesterday, which I was like, oh, okay, rah.
What?
When Shotcock was playing, 5 years of dating, tired of being patient, what are you waiting for? Talk to me about this. Is this the rule? Is it 5 years we're giving people that?
I mean, if that's how it works out, then it's not a timeline on what I would give, like what I would give someone. It was a situation I was in. That's why I said.
Okay, all right. Because I saw a couple nervous people in the
really like, damn, my time is running out. Shot Clock to me is actually one of my favorites, and I think it's like, I wasn't sure if it would be received as well in England because of the whole basketball reference, and I know not everyone is that familiar with basketball over here. So I know, like, even when I played it for my best friends the first time, I had to explain it to them. They were like, "What's the shot clock?" So once I explained it, they were like, "Oh, okay." And I'm sure, you know, if we put out a visual or something, then everyone will understand it a bit better. But yeah, Shot Clock is one of my favorites, and I just like the attitude in it. It's very like, you know, you stop wasting time. Let's
go. The message. It's true. Before we play it, let us know, what's your plans for 2019? What are you up to? Obviously, tour.
Tour is probably the most prominent thing right now for 2019 for me. Once I finish in Europe, I start in the US in February, right after the Grammys. That's another thing, you know, and yeah, just being able, my album's only been out for 3 months, and it feels like it's been like so long but so short at the same time. But I really want to kind of just be able to give this album properly to my fans and perform it and see the world. I want to go to places I haven't been to, Australia, Asia, and see what my fan bases are like over there, and just really like give it its full what it deserves. I feel like